Think about the checklist you run through before a massive family road trip. You check the tires, pack the snacks, and make sure the engine sounds right. Now, imagine having to prepare for a trip where your destination is 250,000 miles away, deep in the vacuum of space. That is exactly the journey 4 astronauts are taking. The crew for this ride includes Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen. This mission, Artemis II, is a full dress rehearsal. The crew isn't landing on the moon just yet. Instead, they are taking a brand new spacecraft called Orion on its first true test drive with humans actually on board. Before humanity can permanently move back to the moon, or eventually travel to Mars, we have to know that the machines we build can keep people breathing, warm, and safe in the harsh void of space. That starts with this flight. Getting off the Earth requires an incredible amount of raw power. To push the massive Space Launch System rocket off the launch pad, the engines have to generate 8.8 million pounds of thrust in a controlled, violent explosion. But once they reach space, the crew doesn't immediately shoot straight to the moon. First, they take a lap around the neighborhood, spending a little time orbiting close to Earth. During this lap, they perform something called a proximity operations demonstration. The astronauts actually disconnect their Orion capsule from the rocket's discarded upper stage, turn around, and manually fly their ship closely around that empty piece of hardware. It is the astronaut equivalent of testing the steering wheel and slamming on the brakes in your own neighborhood before you merge onto a high-speed highway. Surviving deep space leaves absolutely no room for error. The crew has to verify that the ship is completely responsive under their manual control, while they are still close enough to Earth to abort the mission and safely come home if something breaks. Once the spacecraft checks out perfectly, the crew fires the main engine for the translunar injection. They step hard on the gas pedal to break free of Earth's orbit and merge onto the main space highway toward the moon. This infographic shows the exact path of the Artemis II mission. The trajectory traces a massive figure 8 that stretches from Earth, loops around the far side of the moon, and crosses back. Cruising outward along this green line takes about 4 days. The crew uses this quiet time to actively stress test critical survival hardware. They carefully monitor the systems that generate breathable air and practice setting up their radiation shelter inside the cabin. Space is an actively hostile environment, filled with extreme temperatures and deadly solar radiation. This 4-day stretch forces the Orion capsule's life support systems to prove they can withstand those extremes before we ever trust them for a multi-year trip to Mars. Eventually, the crew arrives at the ultimate lookout point. They fly just a few thousand kilometers above the moon's surface, getting an incredibly close, sweeping view of the craters to take photographs and collect observation data. As their momentum carries them around the far side of the moon, a heavy block of solid rock sits directly between the capsule and Earth. For almost an hour, all radio signals are blocked. The crew is in total communication silence. In that quiet dark, the astronauts achieve something remarkable. They pass the old distance record set by Apollo 13, traveling further into deep space than any human beings in history. And as they emerge from the far side, they witness an Earth set, watching our entire world rise like a tiny blue marble against the blackness. That loop around the moon puts them on a free return trajectory. The spacecraft uses the gravity fields of both the Earth and the moon to whip itself back home like a cosmic boomerang. It requires almost zero fuel to make the return trip. Mastering this gravity assist maneuver is a brilliant safety measure. If Orion's main engines were to suffer a catastrophic failure out in deep space, the laws of physics themselves guarantee the crew a free ride back to Earth. With the moon behind them, the crew spends the next few days essentially coasting downhill. Earth's gravity pulls them in, and they pick up a massive amount of speed. Hitting the atmosphere at 40,000 kilometers per hour is violent. The friction from the air acts like a giant brake pad, generating so much heat that it creates a 2,800-degree plasma ball completely engulfing the capsule. That superheated plasma creates a second total communications blackout. Down in Houston, Mission Control can do nothing but hold their breath and wait for a voice to crackle back over the radio. Finally, the capsule slows down enough to deploy a sequence of 11 massive parachutes. The fabric catches the air, dropping Orion's speed from 130 miles per hour down to a gentle 17 miles per hour for a safe splashdown in the Pacific Ocean. By perfectly executing this massive dress rehearsal, humanity confirms that our deep space survival technology actually works. Earning that confidence ensures the next epic road trip we take involves leaving footprints on the moon and eventually traversing the red dust of Mars.